A doctor at Vanderbilt diagnosed a Lebanon father with what's called the human form of mad cow disease.
Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, also known as the human form of mad cow disease.
The human form of mad cow disease, variant CJD.
Variant CJD.
Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease.
Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease.
Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease.
Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, or CDJ.
Gerstmann-Straussler-Schenker syndrome.
Gerstmann-Straussler-Schenker syndrome, which we shorten to GSS.
FFI, fatal familial insomnia.
Fatal familial insomnia.
Sporadic means it just happens out of the blue, there's no reason.
Prion disease.
Prion disease.
Genetic prion disease.
What is the disease that we're trying to cure? When I was handed my test report, it actually didn't say prion disease. It said fatal familial insomnia, which turns out to be one of the historical names associated with prion disease. We now know that underneath this sort of alphabet soup of all of these different names, there's a single gene, the prion protein gene, and there's a single protein. And that single protein is the cause of every single case. Prion disease is caused by a protein that is not an invader from the outside. It's a protein that we all have in our bodies. Normally, it's just part of being a mammal. But this protein has this unique liability. It's able to change its shape, sort of misfold, into what's shown here in red.
And for whatever reason, that misfolded protein causes other proteins to misfold as well.
It spreads itself through this domino effect across the brain and kills neurons, kills brain cells.
In a patient with a suspected prion disease diagnosis, they could have several key symptoms. One would be ataxia, which is a muscular incoordination. Myoclonus, which consists of involuntary jerking, and vision changes, which can manifest in several different ways. And of course, one of the key symptoms that is almost universal in these patients is dementia.
Depending where it starts, it can look like a lot of other diseases. It can look like other neurodegenerative diseases. It can look like Alzheimer's. It can look like toxic diseases. It can look like MS. It can look like aphasia or language disorders. It can look like Parkinson's disease and related neurodegenerative diseases. So I call it the great mimicker because of that. It can look like so many other diseases, which sometimes makes the diagnosis pretty difficult.
The bad news about this disease is that it's always fatal, usually within 1 year. What we found is that almost 80% of cases die within 1 year, almost half of those within 6 months. We do have outliers that may survive a little bit over a year or even longer in some familial cases, but the end result, unfortunately, is always the same.
Analyses of death certificates have shown us that prion disease causes about 1 in every 5,000 deaths. So out of everyone walking out there on the street today, 0.02% of people will eventually die of prion disease. Now bear in mind, not all cases of prion disease are genetic. The protein can also spontaneously misfold, even if you don't have a mutation in your DNA. The mutation just makes it much more likely that that'll happen in your lifetime.